The bank actually, I don't think today is selecting the BPO agents anymore. They're going through third-party clearinghouses, and a lot of people have jumped into that clearinghouse business where the bank makes a relationship with the clearinghouse, and then the clearinghouse outsources it to local agents. Some are say you have to have a minimum of 3 years experience and this and this and this. Others, I would say, probably are taking anyone that wants to do a BPO for, $7,500. And that's going to vary from company to company. And it's going to vary from bank to bank. Banks are setting the criteria many times. And there's rarely a BPO that I do that does not ask me how many years of experience, because my years of experience, right or wrong, I could have just held a license and not been active for 16 years. You and I know I've been in the trenches for 16 years, so
Right.
I have valid experience. But right or wrong, that 16 years of experience puts a stamp of validation to a degree on that BPO.
And just to elaborate on that, there are people out there who have had their license for a long, just as you know right now, there are there are mortgage brokers, real estate agents, real estate brokers who, yes, they maintain a license and it may appear they've had experience for a long, long time. As far as the amount of activity and closings and deals they've been involved in, that can be minimal. So there's another angle where some things can be misconstrued sometimes as far as the level of experience. Let's see here. How much impact do neighborhood crime statistics like burglary, violent crimes, and nearby registered sex offenders actually have on the BPO report?
I would say 0.
Okay. I want to agree with that. I think that is something that I don't think that's going to have any impact on the BPO. At the same time, some of you may do it and it works. If you just happen to have a BPO agent whose child happened to have a run-in with a sex offender, well then yeah, that's probably going to make an impact. But I would say in general, that's probably something that all the gurus are doing to fluff their content when they're selling products and stuff like that, to try and tell people that,
Well, it comes down to fair housing again, too, believe it or not. I mean, I actually have been flagged in the past for going into, like you say, the ghettos, and I'm doing a BPO, and they're asking me the opportunity for vandalism, and I put high. They don't want to see that. They really want to see that it's minimal. I don't get the feeling, and then even in my content, if I mention anything about crime, it's in a high crime area, anything of that nature, they call it high risk language on the BPOs. They don't want it there.
They don't want it there.
No. Quality assurance will flag you for it.
And why? Can you give me an idea of why they don't want it there?
I don't
If it's
know
the truth.
if it comes back to steering, or I think what they're trying to do again is, if we could just compare, even though you can't truly do this, if you've got an 800 square foot house in the ghetto, and then you've got an 800 square foot house in a nice community that doesn't have the same crime, that's not comparing apples to apples again. But they're wanting to look at just statistics of that house. So they really could care less, to be honest with you, if that house is within a 1 mile radius and is with 15% of the gross living area and within 5 years of the age.
It's all numbers.
It's all numbers.
It's all numbers. That can also work to your advantage. If you're shorting the nice house, but it's within a mile, there's a ghetto, those same things that we're discussing right now can work to your advantage as well. So I personally we flipped the house last month. If you guys have been watching my videos, we flipped the house last month, and for lack of a better term, it was in the ghetto. And, there are comps all over the board in the ghetto, because there's typically a lot of rehabbing and flipping going on there. So there's comps for 130. There are comps for 30, and we ended up getting that house for $47,000, and we resold it for a $55,000 net. And there were comps all over the board. So you've got to understand that is one of the big things that you're looking for when you comp out a property. You're looking for comps all over the board. Okay, when the light bulb should go off. If you've got a lot of varying comps, you've got opportunity. If you've got comps that are just tight as a drum, you're probably wasting your time, unless you're just trying to mitigate the file for a fee. So, how can we get a copy of the BPO or get the agent to do a BPO for us on the same property? Is this possible?
How can we get a copy of the BPO? Ooh, that agent better like you a lot. Because, and hand it to you under the table, because that could really put them in jeopardy. Most of your companies are really very particular about their confidentiality of the number. And that's why it gets tough for you sometimes when you call them and say, can you give me that number? Again, it's all in relationships, I think, in the same way it was with the appraisers. But getting a copy of it is probably a pretty thin line there.
So if somebody calls you up after you've done a BPO and says, I'm the buyer or the investor or whatever, and I'd like to get, I'm concerned about the contract I have in on the property, can you do a BPO for me? What would that answer be?
Can I do a BPO for you directly?
I'm buying this. I know you just did a BPO on it. Is there any way that if I compensate you, can I get a BPO on the property as well?
The correct answer would be that would be a conflict of interest.
Okay, there you go, guys. Let's see. After the BPO is done, how can we guarantee feedback from the BPO agent when most won't return phone calls or say I can't tell you the value? Again, it's a numbers game. If you get 10 BPOs done, you're probably going to get 3. If you are consistent, and you have to be consistent, when you try to make contact with a BPO agent, you're probably going to get 3 that'll talk to you and tell you what things came in at, and you're probably going to get the other 7 to tell you, I can't tell you what the value is. Okay. Here's the thing, that more than we find that most banks end up telling us. Okay. Now that doesn't mean they're always telling us the truth. Okay, but if it's when they give you their first counteroffer and it seems really high, that's probably the BPO amount. Okay, so if you know what kind of loan it is, it's a Fannie or Freddie loan. You know that they'll take a net of 92%. Typically, I would say all the time that when you get your first counter from the bank and they say we're looking for an offer here, that's probably what the BPO value is. Okay, and then you'll have to make your calculations from there. This is a very, very good question here. Just as much as it works against you as an investor, it also works for you. And we'll cover off on that. But Tom in Tampa says, if the mortgage industry is in the toilet due to reckless decision making, why are they not using certified appraisers to determine the value of short sale properties instead of using licensed real estate agents to handle the BPOs? Wouldn't it be in the best interest of the lender to use a skilled appraiser when determining true value?
I guess I'd have to tell Tom that that's not anything that's new. People have been doing BPOs for a variety of reasons. The whole 16 years I've been in the business, and I'm sure way before that. And I can tell you right now, I've seen a lot of appraisals that I didn't think were half as qualified and half as well informed as my opinion and values, based upon the fact that I was out there selling homes and in the trenches every day, and the appraiser was just working numbers.
Take that to heart. Tom, I certainly see the validity of what Tom is saying, and if I were a bank, I would probably, instead of one appraisal, I would probably order 2 or 3, average them out. Okay, that's typically not what's happening though. So, but you got to look at how this, you as an investor, how does this work in your advantage? Not everybody doing these is a certified appraiser. Not everybody has 16 years of experience, and at the end of the day, we were talking about this before we started rolling the film today. At the end of the day, most BPO typically a BPO pays 75 to 125 bucks. Ballpark?
Is that? I mean, you've got them as low as 40 and probably as high as that.
Okay, so let's say $40 to $125. The name of the game in this is what? Volume. Did you hear that, guys? Volume fixes all mistakes. The only way for, our BPO agent today does a lot. You know, she does some BPOs, but she still helps people buy and sell property. There are a lot of BPO agents out there that all they do
Mm-hmm.
is